All right. Welcome everybody. So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to do a bit of review on invoicing and then talk about progress reports as the first one will be due here in a couple months, and talk about the template that we'll be sharing with you and how you're going to be submitting those through a portal that we are using. So my name is Sarah Smith and I'm the grant administrator for Ray. And I wanted to welcome and introduce Andrea as well today, as she is a new grant administrator. Some of you will have met her on your welcome meetings, and some of you will not have met her yet, but she's going to be working with Shahela on the LISCIF program as I transition to another program. So, Shahela, did you have anything else you wanted to share before we jump in?
Yeah, no, I think that's good.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and share and get into these slides. Shahela will be making these slides available to everybody, so you don't have to worry about taking copious amounts of notes. Can everyone see that all right? Okay, great. So again, some of this is going to
Yep.
be a bit of review. So if you were at the annual learning exchange in New York, this is review from the presentation that I did there. But as you guys are all starting your projects, you're getting into your progress reports, I figured you might have an invoice as well. So wanted to kind of do a quick review and just remind you of some of our invoice dues. The most important is keep every receipt, making sure that you're backing it up somehow, if you're scanning it into a system, if you're taking pictures, if you're keeping paper, making sure it's in a safe place, or I highly recommend if you keep paper, you also have a digital version somewhere, but just making sure you keep every single receipt because we might eventually need it for an EPA audit. Um, Making sure that you have some kind of policies in place in your organization on who is going to be keeping those receipts, who is responsible for invoicing, how you're tracking your costs. If you have multiple grants, making sure that the right amount of money you're spending is going to the right grant. What checks and balances do you have in place to make sure there's no fraud? You know, people aren't taking off with all of your organization's money, things like that. I mentioned like scanning things in, making sure you have backups. If they're in the cloud, who has access to that? Who's responsible for paying your monthly subscription if you have one? You know, not letting it lapse and losing your records, things like that. You can always write notes on invoices if there's an invoice that has, you know, again, maybe multiple grants and two of the things on the invoice are for this grant. You can always like circle those and make me a note so that we know exactly what we're reimbursing. And just remembering that anything you do purchase needs to be in that original budget that you submitted that is in your grant agreement. And if it's not, that you just need to reach out to us so that we can do a budget modification if we need to, and just make sure that we have that covered in your original budget. Invoice don'ts. Don't wait until the last minute. So you won't be in this boat so much, but sometimes we have folks that just send them in twice a year, and that can really be a lot of information to collect. And so I encourage you, feel free to send it monthly if you have the capacity for that. If you don't, we do ask for them quarterly, but make sure you're tracking things as you go. Don't wait until the last minute when you have an invoice due and then you can't find things. That stresses everybody out. We don't need that. So just kind of keep those things organized and ready to go so that when you do have an invoice or you are ready to send us an invoice, you can just package it all up and send it on its way. Don't lose receipts. If you lose a receipt and you've tried everything possible to get it, depending on the amount, depending on the amount that it's for, we might be able to do a lost receipt form. Otherwise, we might not be able to reimburse it. So it's a bummer, but because we need to have documentation for all of this with the federal funding, if you lose a receipt and it's for a bigger amount of money, we might just have to say, I'm sorry, we can't reimburse you. Again, don't forget to look back at that original budget to make sure anything that you're asking for reimbursement for was in that original budget. And obviously, don't hesitate to reach out and ask us questions. Shahela, Andrea, and I are all here to help you through this process. So this is the invoicing reporting schedule. So your first report is not due until October 31st. We are going to send you a reminder 30 days before it's due, so early September, which is coming right up. We'll send you instructions, we'll send you a reminder. We are asking if folks can get it to us 5 days prior to October 31st, if possible, just so we can take a quick look at it, see if it needs to have any edits or anything. These should be a pretty easy lift, but we do want to just take a look before they're due so that we have a nice finalized version on October 31st. So again, we will always send you a reminder a month before anything is due with all the instructions and links and everything that you need. So how to invoice us if you haven't already. So we provided a template after your welcome meeting. Always happy to provide that again if you need it. And I have a Word version, which is a little easier than trying to get it out of your grant agreement. So if you do need that again, let me know. You're going to send that in an email. So we will be submitting progress reports through this portal online, but right now we're going to keep invoices coming directly to us just so we can work on them with you without a bunch of back and forth in the online portal. And so go ahead and send that to myself, Shahela, and Andrea for right now. We'll go through it, see if we need any more documentation, if we have any questions, if the math is right, all of those kinds of things. And then we will have gotten everyone set up in Bill.com after our welcome meeting. And so you'll just be able to get paid. So you can just sit back and wait for the money to come into your bank account or get a check if that's what you chose. So I just wanted to remind you about documentation. And so again, the invoice template will have a budget table that we would like you to fill out. That helps us make sure that all of our cost categories are correct and that we aren't getting above or below, above that 10% that we talk about in our welcome meetings for budget modifications. A description of what was purchased, if it's miles driven, how many miles at the rate, so there's a short kind of budget narrative section in there so that you can give us all that extra information. More is better. The more information you give us, the better. Otherwise, we'll probably come back and ask you to clarify or add information just so that we really know exactly what we're reimbursing you for. Including the itemized invoices or receipts with dates, things like that. If you are doing personnel time, a timesheet or an Excel tracking sheet showing who worked, number of hours, the date they worked, things like that. And then if there are any relevant contracts or quotes or things that you want to include, you can always do that as well. Again, itemized receipts are really important. And again, don't lose those receipts. If it's anything more than $25, we might not be able to reimburse it. And that's not very much money. So take pictures of them like right after you get them, just in case you'll have a backup on your phone in case you've lost something. Shahila, are there some questions in the chat or is everyone just saying hi?
Oh no, yeah, we had
Okay,
Orion join. Yeah.
perfect. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. All right. So we're going to kind of switch gears. We're going to talk about the quarterly progress report. And so again, we will send you a reminder, so you're always going to know when things are due. We do have a reporting template in your grant agreement, but Shahela and I updated one section of it, and so we're going to provide that to you after, probably after this meeting or with these slides. And there's just an extra section that we'll talk about here today. Again, the reporting schedule is in the grant agreement. If you can send us the report 5 days early, that would be much appreciated. And we will have you uploading the report and photos in a portal. We use Blackbaud grant making, and so I'm going to show you what that looks like today. It's really simple. We're not going to ask you for a whole bunch of information in the portal and then also have you like fill out all of it in the Word template for the report. We're not going to have you duplicate a bunch of that. So it's really going to just kind of be the mechanism of how you submit things, and then we can send it back to you if we need you to change anything. So this does have the link to the portal. So you'll have this slide, just kind of make a mental note of that, that you will have the link to the portal right here in these slides, and we will put it in the email with the instructions as well. So this is just kind of the template broken down. And so this is kind of just the cover information. You don't need a separate cover page or anything, but I just want to make sure everyone knows what each of these is. And so the date and the project name are pretty self-explanatory. The subaward number is that number on your grant agreement that starts with LISCIF, I think is 24. LISCIF 24 for this round, dash a number, dash uh, the name of your organization or abbreviated version of that. So if you're wondering where do I get my subaward number, it is on your grant agreement right on the front page. The same kind of for the subaward period. That would be for most of you July 1st through July 31st of 2025. You are the organization. If you have somebody else, submitting this, just, choose whoever you want us to contact if we have questions about the report. If you have someone like an intern submit it and they're not going to know how to answer our questions, probably best not to have them being the one submitting it. And then reporting period will be that quarter that the report is covering. And so we'll probably just include those dates in the email with the instructions for you, just so we're all on the same page. And again, it's going to be a progress report. This will be your first one, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And as far as the narrative goes, so again, we don't want these to be a heavy lift, but we do want to kind of know how things are going. And so you can kind of just summarize what you've been doing. I like it when you stick to what you've actually been working on, not so much what you will be working on, because again, we really want to know what you've done during the reporting period. And so um, being specific, again, we did some great work this reporting period. Um, what did you do? And I use that as an example because I've had people write that before. Were there any challenges you ran into? Were there successes that you want to celebrate? Things like that. If you have partners, how did you interact with them? Or yeah, did you meet anyone during the course of your activities that might be a new partner? Did you go to any events? Did you hold any meetings? So all of those are the kinds of things that we want you to include in the body of your report narrative. So this budget table is exactly the same as what you're going to have on your invoice. We do like to have it on the progress report just so we can make sure everything is matching up. And so again, it is in the template. So you'll just be basically, if you're submitting an invoice and a progress report, I would get it good on one of them and just copy it onto the other one. Sometimes when people try to fill them out individually on both, they make mistakes and then we have to fix them, which is fine. And then, Shayla, did you have anything that you wanted to say about the comprehensive management plan piece of this?
Sorry, just trying to get muted. For the CCMP implementation actions, it's the same ones that are written into your final agreement and your proposal, so nothing different there.
Great. Yeah. So again, go back to your grant agreement, your work plan, and we'll always let you know if we have any questions or we need to fix anything. So this is the piece that we added. And so there is no required match for this program, but Ray does have some match that we're providing to EPA. And so if you are already doing volunteer events and you want to record some of that so that we can use it as optional match, that would be great. It's not required, but I know a lot of you are doing events with volunteers. And so this table is kind of or it is in the progress report template now that we would just ask like the project, like what was it? Was it a planting, picking up garbage, like whatever the event might be, the number of volunteers, the hours per volunteer, and the total volunteer hours. We'll be using kind of just the standard volunteer rate to kind of come up with the amount for match. I would recommend if you do want to give us this information, you need to have at least a sign-in sheet for your volunteers. Probably you don't need every single volunteer to like fill out a timesheet. We know that's not gonna happen. But we do need some kind of backup so that if you do give us this information and EPA was ever to ask us, hey, can you show us the names of the volunteers and how many hours they did and things like that, that we could ask you for that. And so kind of think about that as you start doing your activities. Some of you might be tracking your volunteers really closely anyway, and some of you might not track them at all. So just knowing that if you do provide this, we just need a little bit of extra documentation that we will ask for potentially in the future if it comes up. So any questions about this new section on the volunteer hours?
I
Sounds
think
like
Maggie
Maggie.
has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're thinking of volunteers, Um, I typically think of people who are like pitching in on a work session or something like that, volunteering to do a lesson with kids. In our case, we have a volunteer who's committing a lot of time to it, and that would be me.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that counts as volunteer
Yeah, I
hours
would.
for you.
Yeah, I would say we can definitely do that. And it'd be even a little easier for you because it's just you. It's not 50 volunteers showing up at a work day or something. So yeah, if you want to like jot that down in a spreadsheet or something, the date, what you did for the project, the number of hours. Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't use that for this optional match for sure. Thank you.
And then the volunteers that we would have showing up would be people who are contributing their time to work with kids or to show up for a design circle
Yes.
that's outside of their paid hours, but they're doing it in addition. I assume that they can't do volunteer hours if they're also, um, during their paid hours.
Right. As long as we're not like double dipping. But I mean, if they work an 8-hour shift and then they come back and they volunteer 4 hours, you could count the 4 hours.
Okay, got
If that,
it. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Maggie. Any other questions about this? Totally optional. But we just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to report it if they would like to, because we know how important volunteers are. Okay. So our portal, it is the applicant portal. I'm just going to be calling it the portal, but it is the same system that you use to apply for your grant. And so when you log in, you're going to use the exact same information that you used when you logged in to submit the application. So right now, whoever submitted your application is our main point of contact. And so if you know that you want somebody else to be the one actually logging in and uploading the document and hitting submit, let us know that. You can email me directly and we can go in and change that. It's really just, again, the person that will be logging in and hitting submit. So it doesn't have to be the same person who's going to work on it or the same group of people. We really just need that one person who's going to be logging in online, uploading the document, uploading the pictures, and hitting submit. So feel free to reach out if you want us to change from the person who submitted the application to somebody else. They'll just have to create an account online. It's free, obviously. Um, and we can even transfer some of the information over, like if you want them to have the application that you've submitted and things like that. Because when you do log in, and I'll show you all of this in a second, you'll see the applications that you've submitted. When the next round opens, as you're working, if you apply again, if you're working on an application, you'll see the ones in progress. And then there you'll see requirements, and that's what it's called when we're asking you to submit something to us. Um, so again, you're going to log in. If you have any issues with your password, you can obviously reach out to us. There is a reset password. So if you've forgotten, because I know it's been a while since you've been working in there, try to reset. And then if you have any issues, just let us know and we'll work through those with you. So there's just a couple questions I'll show you that you'll fill out. You'll upload that progress report as a PDF. And then there's another page where you can attach photos. You can attach up to 99 megabytes, I believe, of photos. If you have a ton more that you'd like to share with us, that's great. You can just work with Shahela to try to set up like Dropbox or Google Drive or something where we can upload all those extra photos, as I'm sure they can take up a lot of space. But we definitely would love to have you share those with us. Then you'll be able to just review it, make sure everything looks right, and then submit it. And so once you submit it, we'll get the information, we'll go through it, we'll check to see if everything looks good. If we send it back to you for some reason, you'll get an email, hey, could you correct this and resubmit it, things like that. If there's more that we need than just a simple like, hey, could you correct this on page 2 and resubmit it, we'll probably just reach out to you directly through email and not through the system, just so we can work back and forth and then get it submitted. Um, I'm going to have that go live on September 30th so that you can start working on it because your reporting period does go through September 30th. So there's really no point in working on it earlier than that because we'd like you to include work up to September 30th and then having it due October 31st, or if you want a gold star, 5 days before that. So if you don't have any questions about this, I'll show you what that system actually looks like. Or any questions in general, happy to take right now. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. I think that was my last slide. Yeah, so now I'm just gonna actually show you what it looks like. And again, it's really simple. We want this to be easy. We don't want this to be a burden for everybody. And so I'm gonna go ahead and switch my screens here and show you what that portal looks like. All right. So when you click that link that's in the slides, this is what you're going to see. And so again, you're going to use the same information that you used when you put the application in. We're going to log in. And you're probably gonna laugh at me because again, you can see all the applications that you have submitted or worked on here. I've tested a ton of applications, so you can see that I have a lot of them. So over here, I will just say on the right-hand side, you can see anything that's in progress and you can see the ones that you've actually submitted. And so that's all for your applications. If you go up here into the left-hand corner, you'll see applications is highlighted, but if you click on requirements, that's where you'll see every time there's a progress report due, there will be a requirement there. I started working on mine. So over here again, where it says show on the right, because I started working on it, it says it'll be in progress. So you can save and come back. Again, we're not asking for a ton of information just in the portal part of this, so you shouldn't need to, but if you do need to step back and work on something and come back to it, you can. And so you'll see now it's here under in progress requirements, and once you've submitted it, you'll be able to see every progress report you've submitted. You can click on it, you can see what you submitted, and so everything is going to kind of be here for you to look back on. And so I'm going to go to my in progress one just so you can see what it looks like. All right, did that switch pages? Okay, thanks, Shahila. So this is it. It's really simple. So we're just going to ask for the organization name. Again, the person that you want us contacting if we have questions about the report, your subawardee number, and then you're going to actually upload your progress report here from the template we provide as a PDF. So all you have to do is click choose file, pick the file you want. You have to remember to hit the upload button. If you don't hit upload, it's not automatically going to upload for you. So we have just a little note here to remember that. That's it. It's super simple. You're just going to fill that out, upload it, and then the next page will be the attachments. So you can either hit next or you can hit attachments up here in the left-hand corner. And so this is where you can put photos. So as you can see, I've already uploaded one of my photos. And so you can look to see you can download it from there. It's a really cute photo of my dog, but you don't have to see it. You can title it. So again, if I wanted to say photo 2 or photo of kids or, whatever it might be, just you can choose your file. I'm going to choose dog photo again and hit upload. And it's just going to take a second to upload my photo. And then once you've got everything that you want here, you can just hit review and submit. I don't think it's going to let me because I haven't filled out all my information. So if you do forget to fill anything out, these are all required fields. It will tell you and it won't let you submit until you do. But once you do review it and submit it, you will get a confirmation email so that you know that we've got it. And again, you can always get back into this system and it will show you what you've submitted. So everything is going to kind of be here for you. Because you're all invoicing at different times, we aren't going to set up like a ton of requirements in here for invoices. We're just going to have you keep sending those to us directly. But yeah, so this is kind of what it looks like. It's very simple. Again, we want this to be easy and quick for you. You can, exit, sign out. You can also, let's see if I'm going to go back here. If you do want to send a copy to yourself or send a copy to somebody else, you can do that. So if you look at the requirements and what you've submitted, over here all the way to the right under the actions, you can actually transfer it to a new owner. So if you're going to leave and somebody's taking over and you want to transfer all of them to the new person so they can see all of the progress reports that have been submitted, you can do that. You can decide on who you want to view it, and you can also email a copy to somebody if you need to. So just to show that you did it. So does anyone have any questions about this portal?
It's not the same as the grant application portal, but very similar, right? It's the same login information.
Yeah, it's all the same login information. So it is the same as in if you went back in like if you were working on your application, or even when you guys log in, you're going to be able to see the applications you submitted. So if you click on submitted applications, all of you should have one. So yeah, but it's not, you won't see an application just because we don't have anything live right now.
Oh, got it, got it.
Yeah. But you will when we have the next RFA open.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was the same because I had that like bookmarked in my.
Yes, yeah, the same. And again, if anyone has any problems or needs reminders of how to get in here, just let us know that.
Maggie has a question in the
Yeah.
chat. I have a working capital events question when it's the right time.
Oh, okay. We can wait maybe till we're done with this. Any other questions about this? Again, we're trying to keep it simple. We just want to check in with you guys quarterly and see how things are going, and keep it straightforward so that it doesn't take too much of anyone's time. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing that. For any of you watching the recording, if you do have other questions that didn't come up today, feel free to reach out to us.
I'll stop recording.